Yeah, some days I feel unfazed, like when I'm with my friends with a cup raised. Come Monday, I got a gun raised, suicidal do or die until hump day. Then I go right back at it like an automatic. More drinks, more songs, more beats to rap. I need a shrink, I'm gone, more time keeps passing. No watch, no thoughts at all, just a hat, new era. Rep my P's and those O's, need a Phillies with the orange and black to feel home. From Citizens Bank back to Camden Yards, it's a tale of two cities and trust we go hard. Trust we go hard, yes we go hard. You said we go hard, I said we go hard. Rockin' my Bob Cousy, stocking up on the loose. The lyrics come easy, but the life is a doozy. And yes, I'm choosy, and no, I won't settle, but I still take pop off over that kettle, cause I'm talking bigger picture. And yes, I'm gonna hit you with the
In Australia, there are many jobs to choose from. You can be a welfare cheat, catalytic converter, collector and salesman, freelance street pharmacist, Mexican tomato farmer, parking inspector, Mikey inspector, the list goes on. But out of all those career choices I just mentioned, there's nothing more Australian than being a tradie. You see, without all the taxes that tradies pay, there'd be no such job as a welfare cheat, and all the freelance street pharmacists would have no customer base. But unlike being a welfare cheat, becoming a tradie is not easy. To become a qualified tradesman, you first need to do 4 years of an apprenticeship. After hearing that, you may be asking, what's an apprenticeship? An apprenticeship is 4 years of sweeping, digging holes, hiding from the boss, getting nailed to the floor, getting all your tools stolen, and getting sent to Bunnings to find a left-handed screwdriver and a long wait. And all of this mixed with the hourly rate of less than minimum wage. So somehow, if you manage to survive 4 years of $13 an hour, living off 2-minute noodles while bludging and cheating your way through trade school, you'll come out of your apprenticeship with a qualification, a license to print money, and no idea how to do anything except sweep the floor. But you see, this is where the fun starts. Due to the fact that you have a license to print money, you can charge customers however you want. Fix a leaky tap with a $10 part, you can charge the customer 10 grand, and their only options are to pay your crazy price or call in another plumber to do the work who's going to charge 15 grand. And the best thing about this money printing technique is that you can do it for as long as you want, as long as you don't become a story on a current affair. Now with that newfound technique of printing money, you'll have a lot more spare change to spend on a nice car. Now as a tradie, there's a few different vehicles that you can choose from. You can spend about 100 grand on a 79 series Land Cruiser, kit it out with another 80 grand worth of off-road accessories, and then never take it off-road. The second most common option is to buy a Ford Ranger. When you buy a Ford Ranger, it's a necessity that on your way to work and on your way home from work, you need to tailgate everyone in sight. Some common and useful modifications for a Ford Ranger include a light bar so you can flash people easier, a lift kit and 35-inch tyres so that the light bar you installed reaches further into the rearview mirror of the person you are flashing, and a nice big bull bar just in case you get too close to the car in front. Some other common options for a tradie vehicle include the Toyota Hilux, the Toyota Hi-Ace, and if you want something sporty that can tow heavy weight and fit all your tools in the back, you can get something like a Holden Ute or of course the AU Falcon. Now that you've got your work vehicle sorted out, you've got to find a nice weekender that you can spend the millions you earned this week from overquoting the elderly. Now due to the fact that every job you've done this week has been a quote of at least 10 grand, you've got a lot of play money. This means that your budget can stretch to include things like this, and of course this. And while you're at it, you may as well buy a jet ski or 3 to put on the back of your Ford Ranger so you look like more of a hero while you tailgate everyone on the freeway on the way down to the boat ramp. But that's what life's like as a tradie when you own your own business, because the real money printing and bludging starts when you get on the government jobs. If you ever see on the news that the government's doing a big construction project and it's quoted in the hundreds of millions of dollars, you may be thinking, how on earth does it cost that much? You see, actually building these structures isn't the expensive part. The big spending comes when it comes to the bludgers. You see, most government sites pay big money, and when you're on $200 an hour, why wouldn't you stretch a 1-hour task into 10? You see, the real reason these billion-dollar jobs end up costing an extra $1 billion and taking an extra 5 years to complete is because every tradie on site turns an 8-hour shift into a 14-hour shift, where they spend 13 of those hours daydreaming about that Friday night slap at the pokies. But at the end of the day, it all works out perfectly, because due to the fact that these guys are earning about 20 grand a week and unwillingly donating 10 grand of that to the ATO, it means more big government jobs, more big paychecks, more welfare cheats, and more customers for the street pharmacists. And that's what I like to call the Australian circle of life. But unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because the business owners and the government job bludgers only make up about 10% of all of Australia's tradies. The other 90% of tradies in Australia live the lifestyle that you would have heard about before. These are the sort of tradies who work for a company, which means they don't get to overquote the elderly, they don't get to bludge on government paychecks, and unfortunately, because of this, they don't get to live in a mansion in Brighton and have 15 Ferraris. The everyday tradie lives on what I like to call the Ian diet. The Ian diet consists of 3 things: nicotine, caffeine, and protein, all of which are conveniently located at the closest 7-Eleven to the job site. Unfortunately, the everyday tradie isn't loaded like the other 2 types. Instead of a 2023 Ford Ranger Raptor to drive to work every day, they have something like a D22 Navara with a leaky head gasket. Even though the everyday tradie knows that their car has a leaky head gasket, they can't justify the price of getting it fixed. You see, while these guys may be on $50 to $60 an hour, spending $1,000 to keep the work car running just doesn't make sense. Let's say these guys are earning $2 grand a week. They're spending $40 a day on lunch at the local servo, $140 a week to fill the tank with diesel, $100 a week on cigarettes, $700 a week for 2 bags from the local street pharmacist, about $200 a week on alcohol, and then $1,000 on either the pokies or sports bet. Now, if my calculations are correct, which they probably aren't, that leaves them with a subtotal of 60 smackaroos, which of course means they've got no money to spend at the mechanics. But that's alright, because just like every other tradie, mechanics are also con artists. You could go in to get your clutch replaced, and all they have to do is adjust the clutch pedal, put 16 hours of labour on the invoice, and turn 5 minutes of fucking around with a screwdriver into a 20 grand payday. And how are you supposed to know that they didn't actually change the clutch? It's not like you're going to come home after a 14-hour day where all you've eaten is Macca's coffees and 7-Eleven sausage rolls to pull out your gearbox and make sure the mechanic wasn't taking you for a ride. All in all, being a tradie is a good job. Each different trade provides a service that everyone needs, and without tradies, Australia would be pretty fucked. So to all the tradies out there, thanks for your service, and thanks for keeping the Coles Express Cafe from going bankrupt. Anyway, if you liked this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you'd like to hear more teachings from the prophet of Yorak Hunt. And as always, shout out to everyone who made a donation to the charity of my bank account. I've already spent it all on wooden sporks. And if you enjoyed this video so much that you made it right till the end, comment bludge to let me know. And make sure to check out the website and buy some stickers, ya dogs.